Hello, hello. We are live. Hello, Eric. Steve. I just called you Eric. Steve, thank you so much for joining us. I'm excited about this interview today because this is something that I am personally very interested in getting going. And we're going to talk about something a little bit later that I'm also involved in, or just going to, that you're holding. So I'm excited about that, but let me let you introduce yourself. I met you through the whole speaker link, I guess, and you have a piece of software that is definitely something that will be useful for anybody thinking about doing a summit. But I'm going to let you introduce yourself and what you're going to talk about today. So thank you so much for joining us, Steve.
Yeah, thank you, Erica, for inviting me to be here. So name is Steve Eriksen, as Erica said, and what I do, I basically help people run virtual events, either helping them to do it themselves or helping them with the implementation of that. But there's so much more to doing virtual events than people are realizing, because it's all about the monetization and the follow-up. So that's what we're really going to be talking about today. The system that I have is a piece of software that you can use. So when you want to do it like a workshop or a meeting or something like that, and you want to host it on Zoom, our system allows you to manage that process of getting people signed up, sending out the emails to saying, hey, you're registered for my event, making it easy for them to actually attend the event, and soon providing the data of who actually turned up to that event as well. And the way we are doing it is just so much more user-friendly for you and user-friendly for your audience. So people actually end up turning up. They're not being blocked by like a complicated process of trying to get access to your event. And that's what we are all about, really.
I really love that, because one of the things a lot of people use when they do just even like a one-time thing, they use, I'm not going to name it, but they use something and you have to like log in and sign up, and it gets so confusing that I miss half of the webinars that they do using that platform. It's so convoluted, the platform, that it doesn't work well. And so I love your platform. It makes it so user-friendly. And one of the things is I'm like probably zero tech to a real tech person, but to non-techie people, I'm a little bit techie. And so I thought at first it would be easier or less expensive to just kind of map it out myself, but I am totally wrong. And I've realized that looking at your software and all of the stuff it does, and listening to you and the whole just journey that you need to go through is so important to making it successful. And if you miss any part of that, it's just not worth it. So you don't want to spend as much time and energy, and then added, the money, but you don't want to spend the time and the energy either doing it and have it flop. So really having it set up in a way, and I know you're going to talk about how to do that, but going through that whole journey and then doing it professionally is so worth it. Because totally. I was thinking about kind of piecemealing
it. Yeah, no, totally. And there's so many people who are going through the same thing. And a lot of people want to save the money because they think it's very costly to, at the lowest level, our service is free. And the next level is $25 a month. But when you consider the amount of hours it will take you to actually do what our system does for you for free, it's like ludicrous that you still want to set it up manually instead of using a system like ours. So here's how why we developed the system. I was working for a very successful lady who is doing she has an 8-figure business in life coach certifications, and I was head of her technology department. So I was really involved in doing big launches, big events, in-person events. When we went to the virtual world in 2000, the first big virtual event we had 2,200 people across 10 different Zoom rooms. And I was the responsible person for making sure that all of the integrations worked, that the operations team knew who had turned up, that all of the registrations took place, all of that kind of thing. But I was in a position where I wanted to have more direct impact rather than working with a team and for somebody else. I wanted to work with coaches directly. And so I quit that. I had a 6-figure job. So in July of 2020, in the middle of pandemic, I quit a 6-figure job to start up as a coach. And I knew that running a virtual summit was the best and quickest way to establish myself in this coaching world. So 6 weeks into my business, I ran my first summit. And that's one of the myths that I'm trying to dispel. People are saying, oh, I haven't got enough experience. I haven't been in business for long enough. I've only been in business for 2 years and I've only got the list of 500 people. And I'm saying that's, you're late to the game. Come and do it. You should be doing it sooner.
That's
because
me.
it's really establishing you as an authority and as somebody credible. But when I'd done my second one, which by the way was a really successful event, we took people into a 3-day, what we call an enrollment event, and we sold for over $30,000 at that event. So I had 2 summits. By this time, I made around $45,000 from running 2 summits. Fantastic way to start your coaching career. But I realized that the people I was coaching, they could not do the same thing. It was just technically too complex. I could do it because I had the experience and the knowledge on how to do it, and they couldn't. So I literally sat down with my wife and my son and said, why don't we create a system where our most non-tech group coaching client is able to create their own summit? And this was a lady who is in her 70s, and I had spent 5 hours with her, teaching her how to do a landing page and an email and a
It's
PDF.
painful.
Right? And we screen
Poor
recorded
thing.
it, and she still couldn't do it on her own.
Right.
And in December, she ran a summit on our platform with 12 speakers without virtually any help. That's the power of
Amazing.
the platform. It enables people who before were saying it's far too complex for me to do something like a summit or any kind of virtual event. Now they can, and they can do it themselves through our platform. So that's really one of the key things that, excuse me, that I go out and speak about. But then it's the second step. If you're going out and you're creating a virtual event like this, if you're going to be taking all of the effort, and we save you so much time and the effort compared to the other solutions out there. But even then, it's still a time and effort, and you're going to be there and being in front of people and talking in your own summit. How do you monetize it? And that's where we find that the process breaks down for so many people. They don't know how to effectively run a summit so you can monetize it. Now, we have run 4 summits so far, and we made over $65,000 worth of revenue from the 4 summits so far, which is an amazing amount of money to be making just from running summits. But it is
And
possible.
if I can interrupt you, the summit is literally almost like the lead magnet. This is just your front end, because once you made that 65,000, now you have them as paying customers that you can continue to sell things to. So that's not your lifetime value that you're getting. I mean, that's just almost like your lead magnet.
It is.
Almost, right?
It is the lead magnet and the sales follow-up. So there's one thing is the summit itself. Summit themselves, we made around just over $10,000 from the summits themselves. But then it's the follow-up afterwards, the process you're taking people through afterwards. And that's where the rest of that money has come from. So it's about having the process in place. And the problem is that many people are failing to understand what is the process that you need to have in place to make that happen. And this is the process. Really, it doesn't actually matter what your front end is, how you're bringing people into your ecosystem. It can be a summit, it can be you talking, it can be you doing ads. But if the system that you have in place to help people make the choice to use you as a coach, if that is not there, if that's broken, if you're missing parts of it, you're just not going to be able to be effective. It's incredibly hard to reach 6 figures, to reach 100,000 or more in sales without having everything in place. And it's next to impossible to reach 7 figures without having all of these steps in place. And I call it the 5 baby steps. And we're going to talk about the 5 baby steps in a minute.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's such a, it's something that a lot of people are looking at like, well, God, that's so cool. I wish I could do that. And I think that because of your system, it is something that is totally possible. And like you said, you don't need to have an enormous list. You're going to be growing your list by doing the summit. And that's the reason that I want to do it is my list isn't as big as I'd like it to be. And so I'd like to use it as a way to grow my list, but also it places you as an expert in your field. So it does do a couple of, it has more than one benefit, and you earn money.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. You earn money. But as you're saying, one of the biggest benefits is that it establishes you as an expert. And what was very interesting was that, so I quit my job and started my coaching business on the 6th of July. I ran my summit on the 31st of August. So about 7 weeks later, I was running my summit. And before that, virtually nobody knew about me. And I had 27 speakers at that summit. Now,
How many?
27.
Oh, good one.
Right. So this was a 4-day summit. And the part of the benefit was, well, we added 650 people to the list. Now I had 100 people before, we added 650, so I had 750 people we could start promoting. We made VIP sales for people who wanted the recordings. We also promoted a 6-week course at $497, made 4 sales of that. That was for the very first one. And when I then was doing my second one, instead of us having to go and hunt for speakers were coming to us and saying, oh, you're doing it again. Can I speak? Or I heard you did this. Could we speak? You're becoming immediately, when you do a summit like this, you're becoming known in the industry, and people are starting to talk about you because you are the one who's giving platform to other people and they want to be on your platform. So now we've done 4 summits. Now I've got people who, when I'm saying, okay, we're doing next summit, within a couple of days, we have 2-3 people applying to them saying, hey, I'm interested. I want to be part of your platform, because we are becoming known as somebody who's enabling people and to have a good experience when they're doing it as well. So it's very important to see beyond the, like, why am I doing a summit? Why are you doing anything? We always start by saying, what is the end result that you want to achieve? And then we work backwards. We never start with, this is what you need to do at the front end. We start saying, what is it you want to achieve? Is it sales? Is it to build your mailing list? Is it to establish your authority? Is it a combination? And then we work backwards to find out, how do we start the process to align it so this happens, that result happens for you. So that's very important as well.
How would that look different if you were doing one rather than the other?
So if you start with the first place, like start from the front, you're going, okay, I want to create the summit. Now, who are the speakers I want to have in the room, what they're going to talk about? But, you're doing a summit, so you're really saying, oh, you want to speak at my summit? Yes, I'll have you. And you want to speak? Yes, I'll have you. Okay. And then you'll end up not understanding who's the audience, who are the speakers, what are they talking about, what's the match. So we start at the other end, and we're saying, okay, so our third summit was Own Your Stage. And we said the people in the room are coaches who need to be on stage to sell the service. The reason we want them to be in the room is we want to have them on our list. We want to establish ourselves as an authority, and we want to have the ability to sell them our products and services later on, such as Eventraptor, the system that we have, or coaching services. So now that we have established who the audience is going to be, we said, what is this audience interested in? The audience wants to learn. They want to know how to speak better. They want to know how to monetize being on stage. So we came up with like 5 different things that they want to learn about. Then we looked for speakers who supply that. And we said to each of the speakers, you have to teach something. When somebody walks away from your session, we want them to say, that was a great session. I learned something, and I can use that in my business right away to improve on what I'm doing. Right? That was our messaging. So we started with, what did we want the experience to be for our audience? Also with that, when they walk away from our event saying that was an amazing event, that feeling that they have is towards the event and the host as well as the speakers, which is us. So exactly. It builds up that goodwill. So with that goodwill, we ran a summit, and we started building up this following. And then we said to everybody, we're going to start networking twice a month. We're going to connect speakers, and we're going to connect hosts. And when we did the first one, we had 150 people turn up.
I was there.
Right, you were there. Exactly. So 150 people turning up for the first event you're doing. Now we have settled down a little bit, but we have always got 50 people in the room, and people come and go. So we probably have about 60, 70 people turning up twice a month to our event and saying how amazing it is, how much they're getting out of it, because we always start with, here is the purpose of the event. Here's what you're going to get out of it. So if you're going to get this out of it, this is what you need to do. Right? And we tell people in the audience that, and then they walk out saying, this is an amazing event, because they have clarity on everything that they need to do in that event to get the maximum value. And you very soon know if you're in the wrong place for you, and then you leave because there's no point in you being there. So we have this room filled with people who all have the same purpose, who all have the same goal, who are all in the same boat, and then they connect. And that's when magic happens, when you're creating communities. And that's what you should be doing at everything that you're trying to do with virtual events, with your lead generation, etc.
I love that. I love that. Do you have a community where they gather, like where you push them towards? Is that a free or a paid community? How do you do that?
We have a free community, which is called Speaker Connections, where we are enabling people to say, I have a speaking opportunity, I have a stage, I have a podcast or summit where I want people. And the other part of the audience is saying, I'm a speaker, here's the topics that I speak about, and so they can connect. That's one of the core things that we want to do, is enable people to find speaking opportunities and helping hosts actually fill up their podcast seasons, fill up the summits, etc. And that is a totally free community. So that's the major one. We also have a Facebook coaching group where we are talking about virtual events, how to do better with virtual events, etc. It was actually my previous community that we are repurposing and just starting to activate again. And then we also do training, and training is something that's very close to my heart. We want to help people be successful. So we have something coming up called the Ultimate Client Conversion Workshop. And so here's the truth. I said earlier, if you don't have a follow-up process, you can't really move from being 5 figures to 6 figures very effectively. And you certainly can't move from being 6 figures to 7 figures if you don't have your whole process sorted. And we have found that, and I've spoken to a ton of coaches who are successful and who are not successful. And what I found is that there are 3 major mistakes that people are making, or 3 major failings. One is that the messaging is not hitting home. When they speak to somebody, they're going, here's what I do, and they might get a lackluster response, or somebody they're not interested, or they say, yeah, sounds good. Like, yay, that kind of fake interest, that
doesn't really evoke that emotion. Like, oh my God, that's so me.
Yeah, exactly. And the second part is that they have a broken conversion process. So they don't have an effective way of saying, you're interested in my service, let's bridge the gap so you will actually end up buying my services, and follow up with them all the way through, having a reliable system that produces for you. And then the third one is the lackluster offer. And the lackluster offer is the one where people are saying to you, that sounds absolutely amazing. I'm sure you're going to do really well with that.
Good luck to you. Bye.
Yeah, exactly. Even when you have your ideal target audience, they'll say to you, I'm sure you're going to be very successful. And when you hear that, you need to know that it's like, yep, until I change my offer, I'm not going to be successful, because what you want to hear is, that's an amazing offer. How can I give you my money? Where's the card checkout for this offer? That's what you want to hear. You don't want to hear you're going to be successful. And somebody said it really, really well the other day. They said, you either want to be on somebody's credit card statement or on the vision board.
Oh, I love that.
I absolutely love that. If you either want to be on the credit card statement or on the vision board, that is really the 2 places where you want to be. If you're not on the vision, or if you're not on the credit card statement, it's because they can't afford you yet, and they want to afford you. So they're going to have you there. And until you're on that vision board or on the credit card statement, you need to work on your whole offer and what you're doing. So what we figured out is that there are 5 baby steps. There we are. 5 baby steps that you need to have in place to be successful. And where this is coming from is that I have studied marketing for over 20 years. I was in a position in the late 90s where I had a business. I didn't fail in the business, but I failed to succeed in my business. And from my background, I got an electronics degree and I got an MBA, and I studied like how to do business. And I came out all cocky from business school, very young, and saying, yes, I know how to do business. I want to create my own business here. And I did. And I built it up to 3,000 clients. We won awards as the best internet service provider in the UK in the late 90s. Won that award 5 times as well. And I sold the business for 5 figures. I didn't sell it for 7 and 8 figures like other people did. And I was like, how did I fail to succeed? So I went back in 2000.
Systems.
Yeah. Exactly. So first of all, I studied copywriting, I studied persuasion, I studied all of these different things. And then over the years, I learned that all of those things are great, but if you're going to be successful, you also have to have a system for how you're implementing all of that. And then I went to work with this lady who is the life coach certification company. She had 100 staff. And as you can imagine, she had systems. And part of what we did, what part of my role as the head of her technology team was to build systems. And we worked closely with the marketing team. So we saw and implemented and worked with all of the systems, not just the system for getting people into an event, but how do you actually market? How do you build up all of the funnels? How do you follow up with everybody? I was involved with everything from the marketing side of things to the sales team, to the people who were talking to customers on the phone and following up with them and building the systems around them. So I really saw all of this. And then I was also working with and saw other successful coaches and saw what they had in place to build up 7 and 8 figure businesses. And that's really, really important. So I've come up with 5, what I call the 5 baby steps. And the 5 baby steps, one of the reasons I call it baby steps is that, first of all, you can implement them very quickly. You don't have to do a great job in implementing them. You just have to start implementing them. And then you can always improve later. You can always build stronger systems later. But also, like a baby has to crawl before they can walk and have to walk before they can run. You can't have a successful 6-figure business before you have these 5 baby steps in place. These are your crawling steps as a coach to allow you to be able to walk and run as a 6-figure coach. And step number 1 is that you have to have a strong lead generator, right? You have to have a way of bringing new people into your business where you are showing what you're doing, where you are showing them or talking about what is it you're offering and showing them the results of what they can achieve, showing them the benefit of being in your ecosystem, being in your community. Now, that can be to run your own summit. It can be to speak at other people's summits, or like I'm doing here. I'm on your platform right now and I'm talking about it. This is a great way to get started. If you don't want to have your own podcast and you don't want to run your own summit, be on somebody else's platform. Right?
Or a combination.
Yes, and exactly. And it was interesting and mind-blowing for me to realize this the other day. I have a domain that I set up for a lead generator about 2 years ago. And I suddenly realized, because we left that business to do Eventraptor. So we changed direction. And then I shut down some services I wasn't needing anymore. And this domain was just left on its own. And then I suddenly went like, oh, I got this domain. Let me go and check. And I just reconnected it into our systems. And I went like, I have 44 people signed up to this domain for Lead Magnet in the last 2 weeks.
Nice.
Just because it's been out there for 2 years. People have found it. It's in the search engine for 2 years. 44 people in 2 weeks. That means another 100 people a month would have gotten into my ecosystem over the last year. And I didn't even realize.
Right. Without doing anything.
Without doing anything. So what you do, the things that you're doing now, even though, that was something that it took me $10 to buy the domain. It took us about an hour to set up the whole website. And that now has given me over 40 people over the last 2 weeks or so. Right? And that will just continue to grow. So what you're doing here is setting yourself up for long-term success. So that number 1 is that strong lead generator. And the number 2 thing you need to have is what we call a life-changing signature talk. A signature talk is, what is it you are going out and speaking about all the time? What is your messaging? Be consistent on what your messaging is. You want to be known for one thing and one thing only. Here's why. If you are a doctor who sits in a normal doctor's office and everybody's coming to you with all of their problems, they'll go, my finger is hurting, I'm going to go to the doctor. They're saying, I got a cough and I need to go to the doctor. They'll come to you. You're not making a ton of money. You have long hours. You are absolutely exhausted. You're getting all of these different problems and you're not making a lot of money.
And getting chickens as pay.
And then you have the people who are the absolute top experts in their field. So if you have a massive problem with your brain, with an aneurysm or brain cancer or whatever, you will want to go to the expert. You'll say, I want to go to the top person who can fix me, because if you're not the top person, I probably will die. But if I go to the top person, I can save my life. They are not making doctors pay salaries. They are making a ton of money because they're the experts. They're the famous people. They're the people who get known in the industry because they are the top experts. So you want to find out that what is that one thing that makes you the top expert in your field that you can talk about all the time. Right? So you need to have that life-changing signature talk. You also need to have that effective follow-up funnel. Now, there's a lot of confusion out there, I find, with what is a funnel. A funnel is a way of following up with people. It can be manual, it can be automated. But somebody comes in and says, hey, I'm interested in some information. And this can be a lead magnet. It can be what a lead magnet is a download, or go to a website and just look at some information that's going to have some impact in your life. And then when they've identified themselves as being interested, how do you send out the next message to them to take the next action? And how do you do that reliably? So it happens every time somebody comes in. Now, when you're having one new person a week, you can do it manually. When you have 10 new people a day, you want to automate it. But, you start with that and just focusing on how do you do this. Then you need to have what we call a powerful discovery call. A discovery call is really about saying, what is it they want to achieve? And bear in mind, I'm saying want, I'm not saying need. I'm saying, what is it they want, right? And then the question you have is what you are delivering going to give them what they want? Right? That is the key question. What you're doing is you're always serving them with what they want. You are delivering what they need. But that's for your program afterwards.
I was just telling somebody that last night.
Right? That's the key thing. As soon as you start selling them what they need, they're going to switch off.
That's the thing.
Right?
They need that, but if they don't think they need it, they're not interested.
Exactly. To give you an example, okay, if I go and saying, okay, you're going to do a virtual event, so absolutely you should be doing a virtual event. It's going to take you 10 hours of a little bit of hard work to do, and you're going to be having to write a lot of copy and send out emails. And yes, would you like to pay me for that? They're going to go, absolutely no.
Sounds horrible.
For me to have to do a lot of work. But if I say, if you do a virtual event like a summit, you're getting hundreds of people into your mailing list. Those hundreds of people will be interested in what you have to sell, and they will want to buy your services. And by the way, when they buy your services, it's going to make you have the revenue to achieve what you want to do in life. You're going to have that financial freedom. You're going to have that success. You're going to be able to be respected in your industry. Now people go, yes, I'm interested. Now that they'll pay you for, and they'll pay you a lot of money for that, right? The two selling ways are completely different. So you need to focus on what is it they want, and is your program the right thing to deliver what they want? And that's very important to me, at least, is there. I mean, one of my horror stories of being on the receiving end of what we call a strategy call, discovery call, is they said, so if you turn up for this call, we're going to give you this gift, which I never got, by the way. And they said it's totally is a call where we're just going to give you a lot of information. We're going to chart out a roadmap for you, a plan. And within about 15, 20 minutes, they started to try to convince me to part with $10,000. I started resisting, and they said, what will your wife think about you if you're not successful, and you can't be successful without her help? And your children, will they have any respect for you if you're not doing this? And I was like, OMG, right? That's not the way to sell. That I followed some of the information they provided afterwards, but I would never touch that company with a barge pole. The unethicalness of doing it. So what you need to do in these discovery calls is to find out how you connect with them on a deep emotional level, where they really understand that you are their trusted advisor, that you have their best interest at heart, and you're finding out what is it they want, is what you're delivering going to enable them to achieve what they want, and it's far beyond just getting more clients. I don't want more clients. I really don't want more clients. If getting more clients was a goal, I would be very happy if I reached 10,000 clients, but I couldn't service them. Getting
Right.
more clients isn't the goal. What your goal is, virtually always, virtually everybody I speak to, is ultimately your goal is to be financially secure, to be happy, to be fulfilled, making an impact. Those are your goals. The question is, what am I supplying that will help you get those goals? And is that the path you want to take right now? That is the only question, really. So when you find there is a match, then you need to make them an offer. And that offer has to be a really no-brainer offer. And such an offer that they go, wow, I'd be stupid not to take this offer. Or if I can't afford the payment for it, I'm going to put you on my vision board so I am able to take that offer as soon as I can afford. Right? That is what a great offer is. Not an offer that people are saying, wow, you're going to do great with that.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah.
That is a key. I think that a lot of people, you mentioned so many good kind of nuggets there, but definitely what they want and not what they need. And also how to sell it. I mean, I think a lot of people, in coaches, consultants world, they're like, oh, I'm not a salesperson. Well, the reality is, you don't really necessarily need to be a salesperson if what you have is genuinely helping somebody and you can make that connection for them without, like you said, that horrible version of sales that you got. Nobody wants to do that. That would be icky for everybody.
Yeah.
So,
and the truth is, if you are that hard salesperson, you are going to make more money. There is no question. But I would question whether you're going to be really happy about the lack of integrity in the way you're selling when you're that hard person.
And whether your customers are going to feel that warm and fuzzy.
Exactly. So, for instance, I have what we call our 250K offer. We're going to help you to get to 250K in revenue. And we have a certain formula that we follow in making that happen for you. When I have a strategy session, I am very, very clear on, do you really want this? It is going to take work on your part, right? Because this is a program you can't enter into lightly. This is not just a $497 program kind of thing. But the offer is such that if you get a single client, you have got your money back that you invested in us. And we're still going to take you to the next level, to that up in the mid six figures kind of thing. But if you are doubtful, if you think you're not ready, then we say come back later.
And the beauty of what you just said is if you have sort of mapped out like the journey of your customer, maybe they're not here yet, but maybe they're here and you have something else that you can say, hey, why don't you do this first? Go through this that I have, I can offer you this, whether it's free or a lower ticket or something, you can get them into there first so that you make them, move up to this level and then they're ready and then they can still move forward with you. Because that's one of the things is getting, knowing your own client's journey is beneficial to you too, because if they are not ready for that level, then you can, kind of bring them to where they are ready and get them in there.
Yeah, totally. And that is so important to, it'll take you time to have all of the levels in place.
Right.
So we literally started with that 250K offer as being our first offer. And then we are now launching our second offer, which is a much lower price and it's not a longer period, but it's much more you do it rather than we do it for you. The 250K, we do it for you to a great extent. Yeah. But people who are not ready for the first one, they're now going to be much more ready for the second one. And then when we have people in that program, we are seeing that it's going well, we're going to launch our third program. And the third program is for the people who can't do that middle tier. They're saying, we're not ready for a group coaching program. We're going to go, here's a 6-week course that you can do. And what we'll do is we take information from our group coaching program and put that into the 6-week course that people can get started in so they can start seeing success.
Yep. I love it. I love it.
So what we'd like to do today is to invite people to join a workshop that I'm doing next week, actually on the 28th to the 30th of June. And Erika, you have a link that you can put in the chat and in different media. In this workshop, we basically go through all of those 5 steps I mentioned, And we're going to map out or help you map out what you need to do for your own business. So it's actually a workshop. It's not coming up and listening to me drone on for 3 days. It is turn up. We'll have worksheets for you to fill out. There'll be thinking time. There'll be some breakup rooms where you're going to be discussing what you're doing, but really taking time to think about your business. One of the biggest challenges that people have is to be able to step out and look at, how am I doing my business? Am I doing the right things? Do I have the right structure in place? Because we all are getting so busy just being in our business and trying to do our business and just doing the next thing that is like on the list of things we need to do, the next social media post, etc. And so this is really thinking about, how am I going to structure my business? I can start making reliable 5 figures and then making 5 figures every single month, because that is the goal of any coach. And I think every coach has the ability and has the potential to reach 5 figures a month and 6-figure years. So that's one of the things that is really close to my heart to enable people to do.
Absolutely. I just posted it in here, but I don't think it went to LinkedIn. So as soon as we're done, I'll also post it in LinkedIn. But also, you can DM Steve or myself if you're interested. And I personally am going to this. I think it's going to be a great event. So I'm excited about it. And I think, regardless of where you are in your journey, it is always good to learn from somebody else, because you can always get nuggets. You can always see something from a different perspective in a way that you haven't seen it before. So even if you look at, people who are super, uber successful, they still have different coaches and consultants or whatever that they go to help them move to the next level. And remember, if you're always doing what you've always done, you're not going to be moving. You're going to be stagnant. So you need to be broadening your knowledge and how you do things. So I know Steve said it brings you from 5-figure to 6-figure. If you're already a 6-figure, I promise you can still learn something from what he has going on. So I'm looking forward to it. I think that everybody that's listening or watching should definitely check it out and sign up. It's going to be a great workshop.
Thank you. Yeah, as you're saying, even if you're making 6 figures, the question is, are you able to make 6 figures and move into 7 figures? And you still need to have all of these steps in place. I mean, I myself has made 6 figures without having all of the steps in place. The question is, can I do it again next year? Can I do it again the following year without having these steps in place? And that is very challenging and very hard work if you don't have them in place.
Very hard work. I love it. Steve, this has been amazing, amazing, amazing. This is one of the topics that I really wanted to hear about, because I am going to start planning out mine. It's definitely something I want to get done. So I'm looking forward to it, and we'll be working with you, I guess, soon once I get it all together and start doing that. So thank you so much for coming on, Steve. Everybody else, if you want to sign up, it's the Ultimate Client Conversion Workshop. The link is below, or you can chat Steve or myself, and we will send you that link. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Eric. It's been a pleasure.